Hey guys, welcome back. We have a new challenge coming today against Mr. Kumar, which is a friend of mine. His rating here appears to be as 1734, but in reality he worth much more than that, probably closer to 1900 or 2000 leeches at least. Let's go for some dynamic chess today. So I'm thinking to go either for a Grunfeld or for some kind of a c5 system. Let's go c5, why not? So if you will play d5, I might try the Benko gambit. If he doesn't go d5, then black is fairly comfortable. So basically the idea that if white doesn't play this move, he's not really trying to put too much pressure on black's position. Okay, so b5. Now, for if any of you is interested to study this opening, the Benko gambit, in slightly more depth, I can recommend viewing I made a 20-minute video explaining some ideas in what I call the accelerated Benko gambit. I will link a link in the description for anybody who wants some more info about this opening, because this opening is really especially recommended for people who like to get some long-term initiative in terms of the activity of their pieces. I would not recommend this opening for people who are too much afraid to give up kind of material, because in this opening very often black is being kind of left behind with the pawn down for a very long period of time. So if the idea of playing with the pawn down seems frightening to you, then definitely don't go for this opening. Queen c2 is one of white's possible moves. The idea is to prepare the advancement of the pawn to e4. So at this point I can basically either just ignore his moves and continue with my normal development with g6, bishop g7, or take on c4, which is always an option. I guess I'll go g6. Taking on c4 is absolutely okay. White will regain the pawn very quickly, but I want to keep the game slightly more in the Benko fashion, kind of just to be able to explain some ideas of this opening to the viewers who might be maybe unfamiliar with this opening. So I would expect now e4 to be played, with the idea to maybe even push e5 on the next move. So probably there aren't, e4, I don't think there are too much other options. And now I'm having some thoughts to actually allow the move e5, because for those of you who already watched my other video about the accelerated Benko gambit, one of the key themes in that variation is actually to allow white to play this e5 move and then try to target this pawn. I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to do this in this position, but let's try, just for the fun of it. So e5 is like the principled move here. Yeah, he goes knight f3, which is fine. I guess I'll castle, kind of continuing my development, keeping some tension in the position. The position is definitely very interesting, because I'm not sure actually myself what exactly is going on here. I would assume that both sides are kind of this position is also very likely that it's still some kind of an opening theory, and because I'm not a huge expert on the Benko gambit, I'm not really familiar with it. So again, I'm kind of curious of what. Yeah, so he takes on b5 now. This is logical. My pawn on c5 is under some pressure, but if he takes this pawn, then I'm taking on e4, and the pawn on e4 is definitely more juicy because it's a more central pawn. Should I just continue my normal Benko gambit style play with a6, or maybe I'm even thinking about trying to take advantage of the fact that I'm having better development to play the move e6, which is another thematic move in this opening. Let's go for e6. e6, and now I'm threatening to take on d5 and open up the e file. So I think if I would be playing with the white pieces, I would prefer to go d takes e6. And then I would recapture with the f-pawn probably in order to keep my center compact together. Maybe push d5 later on. My f-file is about to get opened up. So I kind of like my position. White is certainly okay as well. I'm expecting d takes e6, f takes e6, knight c3 maybe. Then I would play d5. Maybe knight c3 is even unnecessary. In this kind of position, I'm definitely preferring to play with the black pieces because it seems to me like white is the one who is under some pressure, and if he's going to make up his mind about what is going on exactly, he would have to take some pretty difficult decisions. And as you might know, it's always kind of easier to be on the attacking side when you don't need to take any kind of some specific decision, but you kind of just you just follow up the attacking pattern that you have. If white plays knight c3, to me it seems a bit risky because then I can take on d5 and play rook e8 at some point, with some already putting some pressure on his king. So it would definitely be risky for white. What else can be recommended for white here? d6. Some people are afraid of moves such as d6, but this is actually very much is being welcomed by me, because then basically I'm able to just develop my bishop on b7 and put some more pressure on d4, and actually the pawn on d6 in my experience is more likely to become a weakness than an asset. So what will white choose here? He's already taking his time to think for quite a bit of time. What is in his mind? Okay, knight c3. I'm gonna take on d5. No doubts about that. Okay, now my two candidate moves are either rook e8 or bishop b7. Both of these moves have kind of developing benefits, obviously. I kind of prefer bishop b7 because then he will very likely go bishop c4, after which then I can play rook e8 check, and I'm kind of gaining a tempo there because then if he wants to block with his bishop on e2, he would have to move this piece again. So let's go bishop b7. I'm expecting this move to be played. If not, I will just pick up the pawn on d5. That's a very good pawn to take, 100%. I'm gonna be happy about taking this pawn. My only issue here that at some point I need to figure the development of my queenside pieces. So typically in the Benko gambit, black will play at some point a6, it will try to exchange those pawns, and then perhaps my knight can go out from a6 to b4 to exert some more pressure on his position, and my rook is becoming active on the a file. But I'm not rushing with the move a6 at this point, just because I think some more important battles are going on in the center right now, and the move a6 I'm kind of saving for later in a way. So white is going lower on time. Queen d3, yeah, this is definitely not a move that white should be happy about doing, because he wastes time without developing a piece. So once again, rook e8 is very much on the agenda. But then he goes bishop e2 and he gets closer to castling. And we definitely don't want him to castle, or at least not too easily. So a6 is actually my favorite move right now. As I mentioned earlier, the idea is to rapidly develop my queenside. I think it would be a terrible mistake for him to take on a6, because then my pieces just getting kind of like exploded. Let's go a6, see how does he react. I think as white I would prefer to make a move like b6 in this position, just giving away the pawn with the idea to stop black from opening up the a file and from developing his knight comfortably. I think white is actually in a worse position here. Objectively speaking, he needs to figure out his problems. If I would be playing with the white pieces, my main priority would be, develop and try to castle. Not thinking too much about pawns. Bishop e3, okay. So he wants to take my pawn on c5, but I'm not sure if the pawn on c5 is not too important to me. If he would take this pawn, it will just help me to get, once again, more pieces into the game. So in this position, I think I'm gonna just take on b5. Let's take on b5. This move is very desirable for black. Now my rook is getting activated to its full power. If he takes on b5 with the queen or with the knight, then his pawn on d5 is going to hang, and I'm very likely am going to take it. This move, bishop takes c5, I think is extremely bad, because I want to play the move rook e8 anyways, and I'm feeling like it's just losing a tempo for no good reason. A pawn is definitely not good enough of a reason at this point. Okay, so queen takes b5. My bishop is hanging. So either bishop a6 now, or bishop takes d5. Let's take on d5. What do you say? I think bishop a6 is also very good, but what I like about this pawn, besides the obvious fact that I'm winning a pawn, is I'm also liberating this square on c6 from my knight on b8. And now I think maybe the best thing that white can do is once again just ignore everything, go bishop e2, just get castled, yeah, that's what he does, very good. And now it's not so easy for black to stop white from castling. This feels to me like what should be my main focus right now. Next move, he's about to castle, and once he's castled, his position is very safe. I want to seize my chance to pose as many problems as I can before he gets the chance to castle. So bishop c6 is a candidate, rook a5 is a candidate. I basically am searching for any kind of a move that is attacking one of his pieces to gain some tempos. His queen is pretty short of squares, so for example if I go rook a5, he has to go to d3. The main question is whether this is a real achievement for me or not. Probably not. Also, I don't think I can really trap his queen because she has too many spots to go to. And bishop c6, I guess it would take on c5. Then I'm having one more tempo with knight a6. But this position seems too safe to me. And I'm running a bit low on time, so I'm going to take a practical decision. I'm going to play rook a5. The main advantage of this move that it also defends the pawn on c5. Yeah, and after the queen moves, I think I'm gonna go with bishop c6 or bishop e7. Yeah, I don't think there is a huge difference. Let's go bishop e7, and now my idea is to push my d-pawn forward. Admittedly, I'm not going to win the game instantly because now white is castled. Still, I think black is having a pretty substantial advantage here because my pawns in the center are very mobile and dangerous. They are much more significant than those pawns on b2 and a2. Bishop f4. I think I'll play d4 now just to open up this diagonal for my bishop. His knight is fairly limited in his movements. Both of these moves seem very sad to me. Knight a4 is not possible. Yeah, so knight b5 is the only, at least seemingly active move. This is a threat. This is a threat. So knight d5 seems like the obvious move to me. I can also play bishop a6. But then he just plays a4, cementing this bishop on this knight on b5, so I don't see too much point in doing that. Okay, knight d5, it's too logical not to be played, so I think I'll just do it. This is a nice tempo. It's also covering the square on c7. Actually, now that I think about it, maybe I could have also taken on b5 followed by bishop a6. I think it's still an idea. So if, for example, he goes bishop g3, which he does, can I just do this? Am I winning material and then skewering? It's definitely a serious option. It's no joke. My only concern is going to take on b8. I'll take on b8. He will take. I'll take on e2. Rook e1. It seems very good for me, actually. It's difficult to calculate all of that, but I should be. Looks like I'm winning a lot of material. So I don't see a clear reason why not to play the move rook takes b5. Besides the fact that because he has very little time, my instincts tell me not to force the position. Also, this move makes sense with the idea to go d3 next. This also seems almost winning. I'll try it. I think, to be honest, I think Black's position is at that point so extremely good that almost any move, almost kind of any logical move would be okay. Yeah, d3. There is still this issue with bishop c7, which is pretty annoying, I must say. Should I just go back to the idea of rook takes b5? I guess I'll try it. Queen takes b5, bishop a6. He might take on c5, but then I will take on e2 with a tempo against his rook. think white is lost at this point. Maybe he's considering taking on b8 first. But yeah, this not really helps too much. Yeah, so bishop a6. If he takes on b8, I will take on b8. The bishop will have to take me. Okay, he takes on c5, which is also okay. And probably now he's going to take on b4. Yeah, actually... yeah, I think I missed this move from afar. I didn't actually get too much. Yeah, I mean, I basically lost a pawn in all of the 6 wins. I still think black is better because his pieces are just so active, but it was definitely not my intention. Yeah, this is slightly different from what I expected. The reason I'm not taking on f1 immediately because I'm wondering if I can just maybe give up on the idea of taking the rook and try to advance with my d pawn. But this is risky because then I'm giving him quite a lot of material. So knight a6, I'm thinking, just developing. Let's go knight a6. I mean, he's pretty low on time, so what I want to do basically is play moves that are as confusing as possible and moves that basically keep as much pressure as possible. And by definition, moves that keep pressure are moves that do not really exchange pieces too much or not forcing the game. Because when you make a move which is not forcing and your opponent has very little time on the clock, then it's difficult for him to react basically, because if you create a threat or you exchange a piece, he knows exactly what to do. He knows that, for example, he needs to just recapture that piece, for example. But when you play a move which, for example, just improve your position, or you create a little bit of a Luft square for your king, then it's becoming tricky to make a move. And when you have little time, you don't have too much time to consider your steps. Okay, I guess I'll take on f1 and play queen d5. Whoa, he took with the king. I didn't anticipate that. Okay, so white is a pawn up, but I still think I'm having the advantage here. The queen on d5 is very well placed. My pawn on d4 is very dangerous. Okay, a4, I don't like this move so much. Now he needs to deal with the threat of knight b3. Rook a3 is a pretty resourceful move, but I don't know. I still like my position, kinda. I can already thinking about start pushing my pawn, but I need some more support, so maybe a rook d8. Is that a move? I also can check on c4, but I don't exactly see what do I get by that. Yeah, I really want to develop my rook. I'm not sure whether it's e8, d8, c8, all of those moves make sense. In general, my plan is to push my pawn, so d8 seems like the obvious square. I guess I'll try it. Let's go rook d8. So the idea is to go d3, knight e4 in some order. Bishop c7, I'm not exactly sure how does this helps him too much. I also think I have some tactical ideas. So queen c4, check, and then knight e4 with the idea to pick up that bishop. I think I'll try it. I'm curious whether he has a move here. He can try queen d3 with the idea to pick up my knight. But now he has some back rank issues, I feel like. Yeah, queen e1 is a good move. He's definitely holding on. Okay, keep the pressure, don't exchange pieces. Even though I guess I could also have taken on c7. Isn't this move blundering? I think he blundered the piece. But okay, he also has some passed pawns, but they are not too dangerous because my pieces can blockade him, I think, fairly easily. But I'm running a bit low on time myself, so I guess I'll play slightly more quickly. Yeah, he blundered the rook on a3. This is pretty unfortunate. But I think that I guess the final position is already losing. Let's see what went on in this game, a little bit with the engine. So queen c2, g6. So e4 was okay, I think. Maybe knight f3 was not so much accurate, I'm not even sure, but yeah, at this point the Leech's engine says my position is bad, but I'm not sure whether this is a very accurate evaluation, just because it might be slightly underestimating my initiative here. Maybe I'm also exaggerating and my position is not as good as I thought, but I think that definitely somewhere around the queen d3 was, you see, the engine really hates the move queen d3, and in a couple of moves, yeah, at this point the engine already thinks my position is much better. So probably queen d3 was apparently a very critical mistake. And if white would play bishop c4, yeah, I intended to play rook e8 check, bishop e3. I wanted to play knight g4, yeah, and the engine says that white is okay here. Yeah, I like personally black's position, but just because I'm getting the two bishops, but maybe it's not as bad as I thought. Yeah, so cool game. I wanted to thank Kumar for participating in this game. He held on, actually, I think, very well. His position was bad, but he managed to kind of pull up a good fight. So hopefully we will feature and we'll see more of him in next videos. Thank you guys for watching.